Anyways, we won tickets to the Miami Marlins game. Gosh darn, I made that mistake already. Got some good seats, and we kind of wanted to share our experience at the ballpark, guys. I hadn't been to Marlins Park since last season. I think.
Neither have I. I
Yeah.
went. Maybe it wasn't last season. I think the last time may have been 2017. But regardless, it definitely wasn't before the renovations of this past year. And Charles hasn't been in a really long time. There you go.
You said, Charles, you went there about like what, 2012 or something?
Yeah, well, for Jones's last season,
Yeah.
um, just went down to that game. That's when it was dirt cheap. So the park to me is just, it's like being born again. First time. I liked it a lot. We went Tuesday. Interesting.
All right. So I've got some photos here from our experience there. Don't know how well you can see it there. It looks pretty tiny, actually. Don't know why it's looking like that, but they made a lot of, great changes to the park. I'm actually very, very happy with what Derek Jeter and crew has done. Everything just feels nicer. It looks nicer. It feels more. If anybody's seen these kind of modern, trendy buildings, especially down here in Florida, with the clean lines and the clean look and the just solid colors and objects and a lot of like aluminum and metal with white backgrounds and such. That's kind of the look they have at Marlins Park, and it makes me. It really and they've got like the greenery, like the green ivy hanging on some areas. So it's actually more Miami than it used to be. And not Miami in the tacky way, which is how Jeffrey Loria made the ballpark look, but more Miami in the just kind of the modern way. If I can kind of say it that way. And I think we all had a good time. As far as we had some food. I had like a hot chicken sandwich, which I thought was pretty good. They had this thing called the 305 menu. I think you ate off of that. You both ate off of that, right?
Yeah.
You and Charles. Like you got like a hot dog and French fries and like for what, like $5?
Yeah, it's,
More or less.
The 305 menu is kind of it's almost like the equivalent of the Atlanta Falcons fan-friendly menu.
Right.
Because everything else at that stadium is really, really expensive. Unbelievably expensive. If you're a standard family, they actually do like a fan index of how much it costs to go to a baseball game these days. Definitely, the 305 menu is worth it. Anytime you have the opportunity to get a Nathan's hot dog, you should take it. Nathan's is one of the best brands. It's America's brand because they do the national hot dog eating contest every year with them.
So, the Marlins lost. Obviously, they were facing your Rays.
Which I am very happy that they lost. It's really the only time that I'll hope that the Marlins lose.
But we're not here to bash the Marlins. We're actually here to thank the Marlins. We actually got some goodies. That was the fun part.
Yeah. What was it? Well, first off, we had these little kind of tote bags, sponsored by the MLB Network. So we had that. We had these T-shirts, both like a regular ball cap, but also a bucket hat, I think it's what it's called. Bucket hats, sunglasses, batting gloves.
Yeah, the batting gloves were a really nice touch. I like them.
What else was there?
There was sunglasses, the two hats, a
hats.
car flag.
Car flag, yeah. That was
a car flag, which I'll probably just give it to my dad, because he likes that type of stuff. A car flag, two sunglasses, batting gloves, shirt. There was a shirt, socks. There were socks in there too.
Yeah.
But they were too tiny for me. I'll probably just give them to my nephew.
my one criticism.
Sunglasses too.
Yeah, my one criticism, and again, it's awesome that the Marlins, we got free tickets to the game, and they were pretty decent seats. The only criticism I'd have is that those goodie bags were made out for like a kid.
I honestly, they probably was the leftover like promotional items they had this earlier in the year that they give to kids like on a Sunday or Saturday.
Right.
But some of them were useful for us. I mean, I'm still using the batting gloves.
Unfortunately, my hands are a little too big for those, so
lady hands.
And actually, Charles brings up a good point. Armageddon is probably imminent at some point because because Doug finally emerged.
That's true. So Doug, if anybody who ever followed us from the beginning, Doug was one of the original members, and he was for maybe 2 or 3 of our episodes, essentially, and then kind of his schedule kind of got busy, his work.
The dude is a workaholic, and he's not a type A type person where I don't want to say that he doesn't enjoy doing it. He's doing it to get enough money because the cost of living down here in Miami is ridiculous. But he basically every day, he works his butt off till 7:00. He puts in full days.
Right. He works late.
Yeah. So he's never either able to or in the mood to come on the show. I don't know how you did it.
A free ticket and swag bag, dude. That's how you do it.
Exactly.
But honestly, he really wanted to come. He almost didn't come because he had some work stuff, but he was able to get out of it. He came to the game maybe about half an hour later from us. I mean,
right.
And we walked around the park again, and we just had a good time. We just talked, life and sports.
I made 3 circuits of the park. For anyone that's never been to Marlins Park, try and pull up a good picture that shows the kind of the concourse.
I'll see if I can.
It's
hard to find it on Google,
right?
But
something that I really like about the design of Marlins Park is
they just have old photos of the ballpark, and
it doesn't matter. It's the same.
Yeah, the concourse is the same except for that new area that they did,
right?
In left field, in center field.
So I'm not really sure if you can see it from the pictures, but Marlins Park has a full concourse that wraps all the way around the stadium or the playing field.
Yep.
And you always have sight of the field. You have a completely unobstructed view of the field at all times. So that's something I like because you're never really missing anything. You just, depending on your angle, either whatever. But I had fun. I made 3 circuits, one by myself, one with Francisco and Charles, and then one with all 4 of us. It's really fun to walk around. A lot had changed, so I got to see all of that. Well, you circuited as well, so.
I mean, as we were going around, you guys were noticing, I was like looking, they changed that, and they changed that. And like I was pointing out all the differences. I knew what the differences were because I know my home ballpark.
Right. Well, the big change, and I noticed a couple as well. One that you noticed that I didn't even see until later was you noticed that there was new flooring.
I noticed there was new flooring. I noticed that there was paint in areas that never used to have paint before. Like it was small little change. I knew there was like ivy hanging in certain areas that weren't there before either. Just like these little areas that back in the Loria era, they would never have they wouldn't have spent the money to do any of this to make the place look nice. It was just a tacky looking place. It's kind of like the motel that I'm probably going to stay at tomorrow in Boston. Like me and when I went to games with my cousin, we used to joke because sometimes because it's a retractable roof and sometimes the roof closes and birds get stuck inside and then they reopen and the birds get out.
We actually had at least one bird fly over us. Luckily, there was no excrement involved, so I'll consider that a victory.
So I used to joke with my cousin because of how cheap and tacky the Marlins were under Loria. Like they probably like the birds that get stuck in here. They probably kill them and serve them to us as chicken tenders. You know, that was the joke. That was the joke. We used to just make fun of Loria the entire game. That was what made us had fun at the ballpark. But honestly, I didn't have any of those comments during the game. You know, we made some references to Jeter when, like, you know, Doug was doing his VR batting and stuff. Like I think Charles was mentioning like, hey, we'll send the tape to Jeter type of stuff. But you know, hey, it's you know, I don't know. How did you feel, Charles, going to, you know, your Lord and Savior's your church?
I mean, I'm just hoping people convert to the Church of Jeets.
Jesus?
I mean, Jesus. There we go.
Jesus.
I am behind that completely. We could definitely work with that to everything to that degree. It was nice. It looked good. It was definitely something that was entertaining. It didn't feel empty, even though it was an empty stadium.
Yeah.
That's the biggest contrast that we all have coming into it. That, you know, it would look so much better if there was actual butts in the seats. But maybe in like another 10 years, people will actually be at half of full attendance.
Hope it doesn't take 10 years to get to that. But I know, but I hear what you're saying.
What was nice is it definitely had a little bit of the Miami flavor, aside from Clevelander on the outside of the stadium, or I guess inside the park, where you're going up into like this, you know, the area we were walking around. You had a variety of, you know, typical food place, Argentinian food place, if I remember correctly. They had a convenience store there.
That was a really nice touch.
They really
We never popped in there, ironically. Good stuff for the kids. You know, we had grown men like us doing VR batting practice.
Well, they've had the VR batting practice for at least a few years now.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I haven't
Yeah,
been there, so.
Right.
Yeah.
The one big thing, and again, I never went to games back when the stadium opened in 2012, but the world famous bobblehead museum was
Yes.
was that there in 2012?
The bobblehead museum has always been there. They just moved it into the outfield.
Right.
It used to be behind home plate, but
So they basically moved it
right.
They moved it behind,
Because I think
center
people would
field.
stop there and they get distracted and stuff. Because, you know, the around home plate and you know, I guess the main grandstand is, you know, where all the food and stuff is. Whereas in most ballparks, all of like the extracurricular stuff is in the outfield.
Right.
Because that's, you know, the most open space. That's where you have all the kids stuff. So they moved all that stuff to around like right center field, which makes more sense.
Definitely.
And left field was probably the biggest difference because of that, the taking down the monstrosity and placing that new deck, the deck that they have there.
Can you pull a picture of it?
I tried to. I mean, it looks pretty small on our screen here. That's the issue. But essentially, in left field, they tore down the monstrosity at Marlins Park, and placed what they call the Auto Nation Alley right now, sponsored by Auto Nation, and it's a standing room only area where the monstrosity used to be, and essentially, it's a great place to kind of just the site of the outfield. It just looks so open, like you feel like you're right on top of the field, and you basically are.
Right.
And they had like the Budweiser bar behind that, and I was the one to point it out to all of you guys, like that area of the outfield where the Budweiser bar, I think they either moved the bar itself or they just extended all of that flooring to accommodate the new people. I have it there on screen right there. It's pretty tiny, but that's the new Auto Nation Alley right there. You can see it, the outfield wall, just to the right. So that area, it pleases me. It pleases me. It very much pleases me.
It
So
pleases me.
we've been going on about 20 minutes now about this.
But let me just say this really quickly before we move on. The fences were changed to blue.
That's right. If you saw the images from before, it was kind of like a lime green, and
For anyone that follows college football here, it would make Oregon feel inadequate.
Right.
Oregon, which is known for its highlighter green and yellow uniforms,
Right.
it subconsciously blinded you.
Everything's better. Everything's more subdued, but at the same time, the things pop where things should pop.
Right. Oh, and they took down the Miccosukee pole.
Yeah, it was like in the right field. You have the foul pole or fair pole, whatever you want to call it, and behind that is like this large pillar that helps support the roof. And it used to be completely yellow with Miccosukee, which is a casino down here, gaming ads all over it. And they painted it white now. It's blank for now.
It looks so much better.
And yeah, it looks better. It's easier on the eyes. It's not as confusing, especially if you're an umpire and need to look down the line to see if the ball's going to be there. But overall, I'm happy with the changes to Marlins Park. I thank the Marlins and the Florida Panthers for the opportunity for us to go there and make fools of ourselves at the hockey game and goof off at the Marlins game. The one thing, like Charles said, which I agree with, is just get butts in the seats, and the Marlins just need to start winning.
Well, if you start losing the tankathon, then you will get more butts in seats.
We just have to go through these very painful next 2 and/or 3 years, much like the Astros did, which I was in Houston yesterday, and those people love the Astros now. I just saw Astros stuff all over the place. It was shirts at the airport. I didn't see anything Houston Texans at the airport, but I did see Houston Astros. I didn't even see Houston Rockets. Maybe because the Rockets keep disappointing everybody. So that could be a thing. But the Astros, that is an Astros town right now. And it's to play any other sport. Yeah, the Marlins could play another sport. That could be a thing. But really, Miami's kind of the relationship between South Florida and the Marlins is pretty toxic right now, and it's not going to get any better until our trades and draft picks start hitting.
Just a brief side note, if anyone wants to know why South Florida hates the Marlins so much, go over to SB Nation.
Yes, I was about to say. I'm not going to explain it here.
They posted a video maybe a month ago. They have this new series called Collapse, where they talk about these really good teams like the mid-2000s Detroit Pistons, the New York Giants, Detroit Red Wings, etc. And they cover the collapse of the 1997 Marlins, extending into 2003, which were the 2 years that they won the World Series. So if you want kind of a backdrop of that'll kind of do it for you.
Of SB Nation, John Boys dropped another Boys bomb today with his second part of the Bob stuff. I haven't seen all of it, but it just is another thing. But yeah, here it is. You see Collapse Season 1. The 2001 Mariners, the Red Wings, the Nets, the Bucks, and the Marlins are part of this series. There they are. But